Oh my gosh, hello friends. Happy August. It is not quite August yet, but it is almost, and my birthday is coming up. I'm usually not the biggest lover of my birthday, but I've been feeling a lot better than I have in recent months, as you may know if you've watched a few of my videos. And I'm just trying to like reset into this new year for me. Obviously it's a new year for me because I'm getting a year older. What a weird concept, like getting a year older in a specific year, and maybe that year is already like, I don't know, 8 months through. Anyway, this new year for me, I wanted to reset. I have set a lot of goals and intentions for myself that I'm very excited about, but I want to set myself up right. And part of that is like being excited to celebrate myself, trying to navigate through my grief and my depression while also like holding myself close and being kind to myself. And one of the things I did was take some time off for my birthday, which I don't do often. I have a really bad habit of being like, oh, I'll celebrate later. So I took a little vacation, and today I get to kind of spend with myself. So today is the first day of my vacation, and I wanted to introduce this video because Jared and I, starting tomorrow, are going on like a little weekend book crawl for my birthday, and I am meeting up with the roomies to have like a bowling night, and I'm really excited about all of it. It's just gonna be casual, it's gonna be fun, it's all of the things that I love. We are gonna spend some time at the beach because I was like, I want to shut my brain off and just see nature. I want to spend this birthday looking at books and looking at nature, my favorite things, and that's what we're gonna do. So I'm gonna bring you along with me on our little book crawl. I probably won't be talking too much in the between moments because one of the other things that I really want to do is like be present and in the moment. So when we jump into the footage of the weekend, I'll do a little voiceover telling you where we went, what we were doing, how I was feeling, and I hope that you enjoy this style of video. I made a quick stop into Barnes & Noble before meeting up with the roomies. We found out that we had matching bagoos and we bowled. And I'm gonna be really honest with you, I slayed. I kicked major ass at bowling. Never been good at bowling before, and suddenly it's my passion. So catch me on the lanes. And then we played some arcade games. This one was making us laugh because it's just so chaotic. And then we found a Guitar Hero / Drum Hero, is that what it's called, type game, which when I was younger, I loved Guitar Hero, and my band name was Sissy of a Down because my whole family calls me Sissy. Anyway, I played the drums like Christina's doing, and I had a wonderful time. It was so fun. And then the next day we were embarking on a book crawl. I didn't really know exactly where we were going because Jared was surprising me, but we ended up at Village Well Books and Coffee. We first got coffee. I got matcha. It was so delicious. The cashier was so nice, and the vibes were just really good immediately. And then browsing through the actual bookstore, they had such a good selection of all types of genres, and it was cozy, it was easy to navigate, and there were tons and tons of seating because it was very geared towards, you know, selling books, but also having the little coffee shop element. And there were even tables that were like laptop free, which I really appreciated. And being in the area, you know, I had to go to the Rip Bodice. I love going to the Rip Bodice. I love the vibes, and I knew that I would be able to find Grace Draven there. And a bunch of stickers. I always get so many stickers while I'm there. They're just too good to pass up. And somehow we always stumble into a Barnes & Noble. No matter where we are, no matter what we're doing, the Barnes calls to us and we answer. So we ended up in a Barnes & Noble. I don't really remember much about this one except that it was a brand new Barnes & Noble, which has not historically been my favorite. I don't love the airport vibes, but this one had a nice vibe. I really liked the workers here. They were so sweet. And I finally found a copy of Bat Eater and Other Names for Corzang, which I was so excited about. After the Barnes & Noble, I found the squirrel, and I loved him. He's eating little almonds. There's even a little almond next to him. I loved him, and I did take a lot of footage of him. He was outside the restaurant that we went to. We found this really fun restaurant on the marina, and that was the end of the day. The next day, we decided to go to Bart's Books. It's one of my favorite bookshops around. It's a used outdoor bookshop, and I just love it so much. So we ended up going there and browsing for a good bit. I didn't really find anything, but Jared hit the jackpot. I will say one of the other fun reasons to come to Bart's Books, besides it being an outdoor bookstore for us, is that we have a lot of credit. We have a lot of store credit here for dropping off a ton of books that we run hauling. The owner loves to see us coming because he's always like, oh, the people with the good books. So we do donate here a lot, and it's fun coming here because it feels like you're getting free books, even though that's not actually the case. And then the final day of the birthday book crawl was also a beach day because I really just wanted to have a chill beach day. And when we got to the beach, there were all these bunnies and squirrels everywhere, and I cried. It was so magical. The day was also super nice because it was very sunny when we got there, and then as we were hanging out, it started getting gloomy. It was very ha 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 ha. You know what I mean? Jason Chicole. Jason.
Oh, you only
Jason.
The bird only has one foot. Oh no, there goes.
And then the last bookstore that we ended up going to, we just found by happenstance. We were going to a coffee shop and we saw it as we were walking by, and I said we need to go in there. And I'm really glad that we did because I loved the vibe, I loved the aesthetic, and the person who checked me out was so sweet. So I can't wait to go back there and check it out even more because they were close to closing, so we didn't stay for too long. I may or may not have done some damage. Well, I haven't really read a lot of summer romance books. I haven't really read a lot of just contemporary romance in the last couple of months. So I'll just show you that book first. It's actually the last book I acquired, the last bookstore we ended up stumbling into. Honestly, we were going to this coffee shop, and as we were rounding the corner, I was like, oh my God, is that a bookshop? And Jared was like, I think it's a bookshop and I think it's open. And we happened to just walk into this bookstore and get there within an hour and a half of them closing. And we were just anticipating going and getting a matcha, which I will say I did get a matcha. It was not very good. And as we walked into that bookstore, there was like a table, a summer reading table, and one of them was like summer reads based on what was happening politically. So it was like a lot of nonfiction. And then there was another side that was like summer fling reads, and most of it was romance. And on there, a book was sitting there that I've been wanting to read because I love grief books. I really love grief books. And I don't read a lot of them within romance. A lot of times when grief is in a romantic setting, in a contemporary romance, I stumble into that accidentally. It's not something that's like drawing me to the book usually. But in Promise Me Sunshine,
This main character is grieving the loss of her best friend, a young woman who finds her life turned upside down when she meets a grumpy stranger who swears he can help her live again, by the beloved author of Ready or Not. I have not read Ready or Not, but I did read another book by this author. I'm just not remembering what the title was. I won't lie, I didn't like love it. It was a pretty average read for me, but the reviews I've seen of this one, I just feel like I'm gonna love it, so I bought it. I don't buy a lot of contemporary romance. I'm more and more inclined to buy contemporary romance these days because I love it more than I ever have before, but still, because it's hit or miss for me, I don't always just take the plunge. Again, this is a grief book and she ends up meeting a grumpy guy. I have already listened to a little bit of this, and again, I'm enjoying it, but it's not like sticking out to me currently as like being a new favorite. However, I'm only like 20 or 30 pages in. Okay, I got the next two books at this random Barnes & Noble that we kind of stumbled into. It was brand new, like it was just freshly built. It looks like one of the brand new ones, which I struggle with a little bit. I love the feeling of like a modern bookstore at times, but I also love the feeling like with Barnes & Noble, the old school, just like kind of chaotic feel of it. It just feels very homey. Like the dark bookshelves that have no rhyme or reason, the random tables that are strewn about everywhere, also no rhyme or reason. There's just something so comforting about it. But this one is one of their fresh ones. I will say, if I want to point out positives about the newer ones that are definitely giving airport bookstore, they have like little nooks and alcoves that feel cozy. It does give it that like cozy vibe, but there's just something about it that feels so sterile. Okay, also the big like tall bookshelves, where it's just like loads of books, that is very aesthetically appealing. But there is and will always be something special about a chaotic 90s 2000s looking Barnes & Noble, and I really hope they don't update my Barnes & Noble anytime soon, but I fear that's just the way it's going. So yeah, we ended up stumbling into that one, and I have been wanting to read from this author for a very long time. I also realized that both of the books that I got in this trip were horror, but the first one, I wanted to read this author for a really long time, and it's Andrew Joseph White. He is a trans author, and I think the first book that he wrote was The Spirit Bears Its Teeth, which I was planning on getting that one and it wasn't there, but I've heard nothing but good things about all of his books, and so I just grabbed this one. It's a standalone. I think most of his work is standalone. Maybe something takes place in the same world, I don't really know, but this is more gothic. And this takes place in London, 1883. The veil between the living and the dead has thinned. Violet-eyed mediums commune with the spirits under the watchful eye of the Royal Speaker Society, and 16-year-old Silas Bell would rather rip out his violet eyes than become an obedient speaker wife. According to Mother, he'll be married by the end of the year. It doesn't matter that he's needed a decade of tutors to hide his autism, that he practices surgery on slaughtered pigs, that he is a boy, not the girl the world insists on seeing. So I'm just really excited to pick this up. I'm really excited to finally try this author. I also love his covers, and I will say this is a spread done correct. There's just something really beautiful about these spreadsheets and how they just like match the overall vibe. You know, they have a purpose, they have a rhyme, they have a reason. And then I finally picked up a copy of Bat Eater and Other Names for Cora Zhang. This was one of my 5-star reads this year. I loved this book. It hit me unexpectedly and I just really needed a copy. Funny enough, the person who was ringing me up was talking to me about this book and how much they love this book, and I was like, oh, well, you should read this book because I loved this book and I gave it 5 stars and I'm finally picking up a copy of it. And they were like, absolutely, we should meet back here and talk about it. And I wanted to say yes, but I was like, I don't live here. And I did give them a fair warning, which I will also give you a fair warning. This is a pandemic book. This takes place during the beginning of COVID, and our main character's sister gets brutally murdered in front of her, and so she's kind of contending with that, but also there's like a murder mystery element threaded throughout this book and a ghost element threaded throughout this book. Absolutely loved it. Very, very grief heavy, very sad, but there's also light humorous moments, and love Kylie Lee Baker's writing and how she wrote these characters in this overall story. At the Rip Bodice, I only got one book, but I got a ton of stickers, which I did show in a clip as well, but I got a ton of stickers. I don't know what it is about the Rip Bodice. Every time I go, I just have to get a bookmark and some stickers, or just some stickers, or just a bookmark. I don't always get books, but I always get bookmarks and or a sticker, or many stickers in my case. Got Phoenix Unbound because it's Grace Draven, and Grace Draven has slowly but surely become one of my favorite fantasy romance authors. I've literally had 2 5-star reads from her, and it wasn't like in a row or anything. I just like randomly picked both of them up at some point. Don't even remember why I picked up Radiance, but I did and gave that 5 stars. And then I picked up Entreat Me, and as you know, I recently gave that 5 stars. And so I'm really hoping Phoenix Unbound is another one that is a 5-star feeling. And if I remember right, this is like a girl gets taken from a village to appease this person, like, you know, let's just read the back. Every year, each town is required to send a young woman to the empire's capital, her fate to be burned alive for the entertainment of the masses. For the last 5 years, one small village's tithe has been the same woman. Galene's sacrifice protects all the other young women of her village, and her secret to staying alive lies with the magic only she possesses. So yeah, it's one of those, like, the woman gets sacrificed for X, Y, and Z. In this case, it's the Empire. And I'm really looking forward to actually diving into this series. I think it's only a trilogy. I don't know that I've actually heard that much about this particular series. The most I know of Grace Draven, like before I started reading her, was Radiance. We also went to Village Well Books and Coffee, and this is my first time ever being here. As a matter of fact, when Kitty and I went to the Rip Bodice not too long ago, we passed by it and we both were like, wonder what that is. It's actually a really amazing bookstore. That was the one place that Jared like really wanted to take me, was this bookstore, because he had been looking up some bookstores that we haven't really been to. One of the things about Jared and I's relationship, if you didn't know, that's my partner. We've been together for almost 7 years, and we fell in love over our love of books. So he's a really big reader, also really loves bookstores. I don't know how I got so lucky. And so we always are searching out new bookstores. Indie bookstores, random Barnes and Nobles, you name it, we're gonna try to go to the bookstore. But obviously, indie bookstores are our favorite. There are quite a few in the Los Angeles area. So when a new one pops up, or one we haven't heard of, we always are trying to go to it. So that's where he wanted to take me. I ended up getting 2 books there, and I really loved the vibe of that place. I can't wait to go back. But I ended up getting A Dance of Lies, and this is just a fantasy romance that's kind of been on my radar. I don't know why this intrigues me so much, except for the fact that it reminded me a bit of A Daughter of No Worlds, because the main character is a dancer and she's trying to get out of that life. The thing is she becomes an assassin, so that's like not exactly the same. I did hesitate for a while to buy this. This has been out for a bit, but then I sampled the first chapter on my Kobo, and I actually really, really loved the writing, and I loved the atmosphere and just how dark everything felt. So I decided to finally buy it, and I'm just really hoping I love this one. So this is a dancer turned spy. Oh, she turned spy. Why did I think she turned into an assassin? I don't know. She must decide how far she will go to secure her freedom. My protector is gone, revealed to be a monster, but I remind myself that I am not a damsel. I'm no princess bound within a tower. I am a shadow. And then I finally picked up a copy of The Raven Scholar. So I have been reading this on my Kobo. It was actually one of the first ebooks that I bought on my Kobo. It was on sale, and this is supposed to be like fantasy's back. So far I'm feeling that. I have been reading this one slowly, and I'm also reading this for Sid's book club, and so I want to take my time with it, but I also want to fly through it just to make it on time for the book club. But I'm really excited because this is like itching that fantasy scratch that I have right now. And to read you a little bit of the synopsis, it says, "Let us fly now to the empire of Orun, where after 24 years of peace, the reign of Burson the Brusque has come to an end in the dizzying heart of midsummer. 7 exceptional warriors, thinkers, and strategists compete to replace him. When one of them is murdered, it falls to Nima Kra, the emperor's brilliant, idiosyncratic high scholar, to find the killer and fight for the throne. Nima believes she is alone, but we are here to help. All she has to do is let us in." My battery died. It actually said it was exhausted, and like, girl, same. The last bookstore is not that exciting. It was my local Barnes & Noble, and I went right before we met up with the roomies to go bowling / go to the arcade, and I got 3 books because I was ready to treat myself. That's all I could say. So I got Coffee Shop in an Alternate Universe. Look at how cute this cover is. It's just so cute. I eyeball this every time I see it. Every time. I'm like, wow. Something about this just feels like it's gonna be a really great time. It feels like I'm absolutely gonna love this. So this one is about Brenda. Her internet goes out right before an important scholarship deadline. She stumbles into Kat's family's coffee shop. Brenda is swept away by a cool, confident Kat who actually cares about Brenda's 19-step plan to save the world through science. Meanwhile, Kat can't stop thinking about Brenda, who is smart, passionate, and doesn't seem to care that Kat is the prophesized chosen one. The only problem? Kat and Brenda are from different universes. Like, need to find a portal to go on a second date, different universes. It's gonna be so cute. And then actually the next 2 books that I got, they are sequels to books that I've really loved. So I got Wrath of Dragons, which is the sequel to Fear the Flames. I really, really loved Fear the Flames. So I was super excited to see this out. I totally forgot it was coming out in August. I don't know why I thought this was coming out in like November, but it is here. And I will be rereading Fear the Flames because I remember it, but I don't. And also I just really like rereading the first book in a series when I'm diving into the next book. I'm ready to dive into this. Hopefully I'll be diving into it this month, actually. I would really like to reread and dive into the second one this month. The other sequel that I got was Ascension, which is the second book in who knows what the series is called, but the first book is called Evocation. It gave me adult Raven Boys vibes in the sense of the atmosphere and like the writing, but I wouldn't say that if you like the Raven Boys that you're gonna like Evocation, or if you like Evocation you're gonna like the Raven Boys. Now I'm a little bit nervous for the second one because people who did love the first one haven't fully been loving this, but if I've learned anything with my time on the internet, it's that you just kind of have to read the book yourself and judge it yourself, right? And I won't lie, there is a lot of just vibes, no plot happening within the first book. So it'll be interesting to see if the second book has that same dynamic, or if we're actually going to start getting plot that's going to like flesh out where we're going with the rest of the series. I feel that if it is another just vibes, no plot, I don't know if I want to move on with the third book, but I like the characters enough that I could see myself seeing through to the end of the series. Also, these are just stunning covers. They're just so beautiful. The first one, I don't even know if you can tell, it's down here. I have it on display because it's just beautiful. Just absolutely beautiful. Did end up getting one other book, but it was on my Kobo, and the reason that I got it was because every single bookstore that we went to, I was looking for a hardcover copy of this book, and I could not find it. It was always in paperback, or it just wasn't there. And it was The City of Last Chances. I ended up getting that on my Kobo because literally I went out of my way looking for this book and could not find it anywhere at any of the bookstores that we went to. So got it on my Kobo. I read The Children of Time, and because of the spider element in it, I just really couldn't do it. And so that book did not get its best chance from me, but I did recognize that the writing and the world building, the storytelling was done so well, and it was very compelling, but it creeped me out too much because giant spiders that have the ability to think and maneuver like humans do not sign me up for that. So I want to give this author another shot because they're very prolific, first and foremost, and I have so many people in my life who love him so much. They love Adrian as an author so much, and I just really want to give him another shot. And I think starting in like a fantasy sci-fi world, because I like fantasy sci-fi, will probably give me my best shot with him.